I used to work the late shift at a small gas station on the edge of my town. It sat alone next to the highway, with a parking lot that was almost always half empty after midnight. Most nights were quiet. A few truck drivers, some teenagers buying snacks, and long stretches with no customers at all. This happened on a Friday night in October. The air outside was cold, and a thick fog had rolled in over the road. Inside the station, everything felt normal to me. The fluorescent lights hummed above my head, the drink cooler clicked on and off, and the security screens showed for empty camera angles. Around 1 a.m., I was tired. I made myself a weak coffee and walked back toward the front counter. As I passed the big windows, I caught my reflection in the dark glass. I stopped for a second, fixed my hair, and kept walking. I only took a few steps before I suddenly froze. In the glass of the window, I could still see my reflection. There was something else behind me. There was a pale face, just over my shoulder, staring at me from outside. I spun around immediately. The parking lot was empty. No cars, no people, just the fog moving under the streetlights. My heart started beating faster. When I turned back to the window, the pale face was gone. Only my reflection looked back at me. I told myself I was just exhausted and that my eyes were playing tricks on me. I went behind the counter and tried to count down. About 10 minutes later, the bell above the door suddenly rang. I looked up quickly, expecting to see someone walk in, but the door didn't move. It was still completely closed, and nobody was there. I glanced at the security monitor next to me. The cameras showed the same things as before. An empty lot, an empty store, and no sign of anyone near the door. I tried to laugh a little to make myself feel better, but it sounded strange, even to me. To keep busy, I started wiping down the coffee area, cleaning the counters, and restacking bags of chips. When I finally came back to the front counter, I looked at the windows again. This time, the pale face was closer. It was pressed right up against the glass, but the glass didn't move. The skin looked almost white, and the eyes were just dark. Completely dark, like someone had painted over them. I stopped breathing for a second. I did not turn around. I remember thinking, very clearly, if someone is really out there, why can't they primera them? Why isn't the motion sensor light turning on? My hands were shaking when I reached for the phone. I tried calling my night manager first, but it went to voicemail. Then I dialed the non-emergency police number. While the phone was ringing, I forced myself to slowly turn and look outside. The parking lot was still empty. The fog had moved even closer, and it was starting to swallow the far edge of the asphalt. There was no one at the window, no pale face, nothing. A calm woman answered the phone. I told her that I thought there might be someone watching the station, that I kept seeing someone at the window, but whenever I looked, there was nobody there. I felt kind of stupid saying it out loud, but my voice was shaking. She said they would send a car to check on me and told me to stay inside with the doors locked. I thanked her and hung up. I walked over to the front door and turned the lock, even though we almost never locked it during the night shift. Then I went back behind the counter and tried not to look at the windows anymore. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. I stared at the security screens, counting the seconds in my head. On camera 3, the one that showed the side of the building, something moved. I leaned forward to see better. For just a moment, a tall, thin shape passed along the side wall, right at the edge of the camera's view. It was too fast and too pale. I felt my skin crawl. I rewound the footage a few seconds and played it again. There it was, a tall figure, almost the same color as the fog, gliding along the side of the building without making any sound and without any clear shadow. At that exact moment, the bell above the door rang again. The door didn't move. It was still closed and locked. I grabbed the small flashlight we kept under the counter and shone it toward the front windows. The light hit the glass and bounced back, showing me nothing but the empty parking lot and my own scared face. I whispered to myself, "It's okay. The police are coming. It's okay." I didn't really believe it. Suddenly, all 4 camera screens flickered at the same time. For less than a second, the same image appeared on each one. On all 4 screens, I saw the pale face, pressed right up against each camera, eyes dark and empty. Then, just as quickly, the screens went back to normal. I stumbled backwards so fast that I hit the shelf behind me. Cans rattled and one rolled onto the floor. The lights above me flickered once, then again. The familiar hum of the cooler stopped for a moment. 10 km bike. The whole store suddenly felt colder. A minute later, headlights appeared on the road outside. A police car turned into the lot and parked in front of the station. I felt this huge wave of relief, so strong that my knees almost gave out. 2 officers got out and walked up to the door. I unlocked it quickly and let them in. They asked me what was going on, and I tried to explain everything. The face in the window, the bell, the figure on camera 3, the screens flickering. They stayed calm. One of them checked the cameras with me, but when we rewound the footage, the part with the pale face on all 4 screens was gone. The part where the tall shape moved by camera 3 was gone too. The recording showed nothing but an empty station and an empty parking lot. The officers went outside and walked around the building with their flashlights. They checked the back door, the trash area, and the small strip of trees behind the station. They didn't find anything. No footprints in the thin layer of dirt near the walls. No marks on the doors. Nothing. When they came back in, one of them asked me if I had been sleeping okay lately. I told him I was just tired and maybe a little stressed. They said I could call again if anything else happened. 10T left. I locked the door behind them and stood there for a few seconds, just looking at my own reflection in the glass. This time, there was nothing behind me. I managed to finish my shift, but I couldn't stop watching the security screens. They stayed completely normal until morning. At 6 a.m., the day clerk arrived to take over. I grabbed my bag and stepped outside into the cold early light. As I walked along the side of the building toward my car, I noticed something on the concrete wall. There were long, thin streaks running down the wall, right under camera 3. They looked like 4 lines made by fingers, dragging slowly through dust. Each line started high and ended low, almost at my shoulder level. I moved closer but didn't touch them. The wall was dry concrete, but near the bottom of each streak, the dust was smeared darker, almost like something had soaked into it. I felt the hair on my arms stand up. I didn't say anything to the day clerk about it. I just got into my car, locked the doors, and drove home as the sun came up behind me. After that night, I never took the late shift again. Even now, when I drive past that highway at night, I slow down as I pass the old gas station. The lights still hum. The windows still shine like dark mirrors. And one night, not long ago, I looked at the station as I passed. In the reflection of my own car window, I thought I saw a pale face in the station glass, watching the road and waiting. And waiting.